Hello and welcome to this special edition of More Than the Song. I'm pleased to be joined by Lesley Nicholson, who's the Songster Leader at Birmingham Citadel in the UK. And we're recording this just to chat about the work that Lesley has been doing with her Birmingham Citadel songsters over the past year. And I think it's just it's a bit of a good news story that I'm sure many people will be very keen to hear about. So Lesley, thank you very much for joining and taking the time today to speak to us. It's really appreciated.
Good morning.
Firstly, could you just give us a quick kind of background introduction to the songsters at Birmingham Citadel?
Okay, so the songsters really reflects the core, which we're obviously drawn from, which is quite diverse. And fortunately, the songsters reflects that in terms of all generations. I wouldn't like to estimate who is the oldest songster and what age they are, but probably into 80s actually. But we also have, I think, 5 songsters under 20. So really, really blessed with that.
So the Prime Minister holds a press conference just a little over a year ago, instructing us all to stay at home. Like many music leaders across the territory, I imagine you started considering what that meant for your group. So what were your initial thoughts when we had that stay-at-home order?
I think my initial thoughts were, like everybody, oh, actually a few weeks off, I'm sure the songsters won't mind. I think I put something on Facebook each week and to sort of connect with them and say, you know, we're remembering each other, as it all felt quite weird at that point. But then after a few weeks and we realised that the situation would go on, we started to Zoom each week. I don't think any of us have ever heard of it before, but it became a weekly thing, I think, from the beginning of April and continued ever since, all the way through the summer holidays even. We gave the songsters the option. Did they want to continue to gather in that way? They had a little survey and yes, they did. So yes, we have continued throughout.
So, and what have your Zoom calls, I presume it's a weekly Zoom call, what have they consisted of, and how does that look?
We've tried to vary it and keep it fresh, and all the time bearing in mind who we are, maintaining that sense of connectedness as a group, but also trying to hold on to what we're about. So obviously over Zoom singing, we all know it's pretty tricky, but we have done quite a bit of singing, and increasingly so. But we've also tried to have that social element, that fun element, take the opportunity to get to know each other better, to maybe have some quizzes, things like that. But yeah, keeping in mind that we're about ministry, we're about mission, we're about mutual support, really, I think, and reflect that in different ways as we have been able to. I think we've all developed, haven't we, throughout. First, it was like, well, what can we do? And I think the first week we did sing along to a couple of tracks, one in particular where the songsters take the mickey out of my they exaggerate my clues that I give them for the words. And there is on YouTube, I think, a clip of this first Zoom meeting that we had where everybody's doing all sorts of strange things. Our songsters are kind of laughing at this point because it looks like an action song, but it was just fun and it reminded us of who we are as a group.
Fab, yeah, and I guess every group does it differently, and you do what kind of serves your people best. But it's really encouraging to hear that you kind of identified that pretty quickly, I think, and yeah, offered that to the group to keep them connected and to keep them singing. Actually, that's really encouraging. So, virtual choirs have suddenly become a massive thing in the choral world, I guess. So how does that relate to Birmingham Songsters? Have you entered into that? What kind of stuff have you done, as a virtual choir?
Okay, so fairly early on, as you've said, I think we started to see even professional groups putting stuff out there and thinking, now, is this something we can do? Because as I've said, we wanted to maintain some sense of ministering, of having a mission focus. So I didn't really know anybody that could even do this. But obviously, over time, people have learned those skills. So we're fortunate now we've got quite a team. But what we've tried to do is kind of mirror, I guess. We followed along what we would normally do. So we started off just with something that we knew really well, to try and encourage people. Oh, you can do this one, you know this one. And I should say that even from the beginning, we've said to the group, look, it's okay to mime. If you really, really don't want to sing and record yourself, it's too scary, we still want to have you as part of that project. So on all the recordings, I think there's a few people just lip syncing, which is just fine. It's been fine. Although it's been very interesting as a leader to have, or perhaps I shouldn't say this, but to have the opportunity to hear the majority of the group on an individual basis. It's a big group, so we get a kind of hopefully blended sound normally. But yeah, to hear people individually has been brilliant, really interesting. So we did a song we knew really well. Then coming up to the summer, we normally have what we call summer songsters. I know a lot of corps do this. We've done it ever since I've been Songster Leader, actually. We have a mega rehearsal just before the schools break up. We sing through everything that we're going to do throughout the summer period with whoever is going to take that song leading it. And then that's us for the summer, but it's open to anybody connected to the corps to come and join in with us. So we did something similar, Summer Songsters, and we recorded a song that has been really one of those Summer Songster songs, but also a song we've used a lot in outreach. And that went out as, I think that was You Raise Me Up, we did them. Then moving into the autumn, we were due to be going away for the weekend to Wellingborough. So as part of that, we would normally sing either as a come and sing or with the local singing group or Songster Brigade. So we invited them to join with us. And I think that was the first time they'd Zoomed. I joined in a Zoom with them to explain the concept, how it would work. They joined in with our Zoom the following week, and we produced a virtual masked song to be released on the weekend that we would have done. Then we came up towards Christmas and we were all ready to learn something new, I think. So that was the first time we did rehearsals where I sat at the piano and we went through section by section and we learned it, and we went into breakout rooms and did sectionals and all that kind of thing. And we did a new song for our corps Christmas presentation. And so it's gone on. At Christmas, we sent out goodie bags to everybody who'd been engaging with the Zooms, which was quite some undertaking, as we are a gathered corps with people living in all areas of the city. But the different members of the Songster team took various people who lived relatively near to them, so it didn't involve too much travel. And in that goodie bag, the most valued thing, I think, apart from the chocolate and the devotional book or whatever, was one of your own productions, Sing to the Lord book, the last one that had been produced before the lockdown. And this went out, and that has enabled us. It's just been, and I don't use this phrase lightly, it has just been a gift, a real God-given package that we have had. Even the songs seem to have been speaking into our situation. And alongside this, our corps have started to produce live stream services, meetings. And so we have recorded 4 of the songs from that book that have been able to support the ministry that is going out and people are able to link into. Those we've had to use volunteers, because it's one thing recording a song that you know really well, that you've sang many times, but when you have just looked at it maybe for 15, 20 minutes on a Zoom, not quite the same. So we've just gone for volunteers, but we've had different groups recording these 4 songs, and they're now out there, and it's brilliant. It's been really brilliant.
Yeah, that's really encouraging to hear, that you've been able to utilize the Sing to the Lord books so well, yeah, and really make the most of them and kind of working through the books. And yeah, that's really encouraging. It's also really encouraging to hear how you are sharing what you have discovered as well throughout the pandemic with other groups, so such as Wellingborough Songsters, and kind of sharing that expertise that you've gained as a choir. And inspiring other groups to do similar, and yeah, a real kind of knock-on effect. That's really, really encouraging to hear.
I should also say it was really good that we had the hard copies of the books, because songs that we'd learned previously we'd sent out as a PDF, which is fine because people can have if they've got another device, or they can print it out. Not everybody can, but there's been something really good about actually having the books. Fortunately, we still maintained our order of enough books for only one per household, mind. There was about 70 that went out, I think, but well, 70 individuals that we were part of this distribution. But yeah, it's just felt a bit more normal to sit there with your book and mark up your book and everything. So yeah, that's been really good. We've been really glad to have that. And of course the demos, which enable you to sing along with something that's pre-recorded, to record along with that as well. It's been so helpful. We couldn't have done it without that whole package.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary,
when troubles come and my heart burdened be,
then I am still and waiting in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas.
I am strong
When I am on your shoulders, you raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger.
each restless heart beats so imperfectly.
But when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas.
I am strong
When I am on your shoulders, you raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas.
I am strong
When I am on your shoulders, you raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas.
I am strong
When I am on your shoulders, you raise me up to more than I can be.
So that was You Raise Me Up by the Birmingham Citadel Summer Songsters, the virtual choir they made this last summer. So Lesley, would you tell us about how your rehearsals look, how you're using Sing to the Lord books on a Zoom rehearsal, and how you're kind of expanding on those songs during that?
So since early in January, we've been looking at a song each week, just working our way through the book. I'm fortunate I've got two deputies. So I gave them the choice and they chose the last two. So they've done the last two. But the first half of the rehearsal has been me or one of the deputies sat at the piano, going through, helping people to kind of sing through the tune. And it's really good, although you can't hear people on Zoom, you can see if they're actually singing or kind of, you know, involved. So you can kind of monitor it a bit, going through any tricky corners, that sort of thing. Then we have sung along to the demo. So we've had a chance to do a sing through. And then the second half of the rehearsal, we've been very blessed to have a number of guests join us, people connected to the group, some well-known speakers as well, who have come and shared in a Bible study with us based on a song from our repertoire that is rooted in scripture. So that's been really good as well, because it's perhaps brought new insight to words that we've sung potentially many times, and then we've concluded our evening again by singing over that song and sharing in a prayer together. It's been really special. We finished off the last session. Once we'd done all 7, we gave everybody the opportunity to put in a kind of Eurovision style, a score for each song. So you had a total of 7 for your favourite song, down to 1 for your least favourite. I won't go into what it all came out as, but it's really interesting. You don't normally get that chance. And also to talk about what we enjoyed about the songs. I think I mentioned previously about the fact that so many of the songs really spoke to us in our situation. The song that came out top was God Will Make a Way. And when we've been living in this situation where we just still really not 100% know how this is all going to pan out, just that reassurance that there is a way and God's there and he will see us through it. Yeah, fantastic. It's been really good. We've enjoyed it.
It's amazing. It does amaze me how much God speaks into these situations,
Yeah.
even when, you know, we have no idea what's going to happen. So when we were, you know, proofreading and editing that song, obviously we had no idea that just ahead of us would be a pandemic that would last, you know, for years, it feels like. So that's really encouraging. So it's interesting because I think that what you're doing in Zoom rehearsals at the moment with the Sing to the Lord book can happen in person when we do return to being able to be together. So what have you learned from the pandemic and, you know, the way the Songsters has been? You know, what would you take from what you've done this past year into the future as we do return to normal? Yeah, so what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so we'll be very glad not to be singing over Zoom, I think. From a singing point of view, it would be fantastic to just be in a room at the same time, being able to hear each other. Although, whereas on the virtual recordings, you could just adjust the tuning or slightly mute somebody if they've gone a bit wrong. That will be interesting when we come back together after having not sung together for so long. But yeah, looking forward to that. But moving forward, it's been really good actually on the Zoom gatherings that people have joined us who wouldn't ordinarily be part of the weekly rehearsals for whatever reason. So a number of retireds have become part of that fellowship again, plus also some new people who weren't previously in the Songsters, or not currently in the Songsters, have been joining with us and participating in the virtual recording. So we need to think about how we move forward with that same inclusivity, if you like. We really need to think about that. The other thing is, we've always put songs, well, as long as social media has been around, I think there's been the odd song that's gone on, but the reach of our ministry, I mean, we stand in the open air in Birmingham in old to normal times, and do an open air most weeks during the summer months. So there's a reach there, but social media provides that platform. It was interesting, we did a song that went out just actually with 3 of the younger songsters. The officer wanted a particular worship song that went out on Sunday morning. And I had a message from one of those youngsters saying, can we have that? Can you put it on the Songster page so we can share it with our friends? That's fantastic. That's just brilliant. So we need to, moving forward, be really savvy, I think, in the way that we use social media and live streaming and all of that. And I think actually, moving forward, we need to not take ourselves quite as seriously, because the fun stuff's been really good. It's helped us to stay connected. It's helped us to get to know each other better, and perhaps we've not made enough time for that in the past. So I think moving forward, we need to build that into our programme as well.
Certainly. Thank you for that. And yeah, as you say, it's so important to be thinking about the future and being a step ahead and yeah, not feeling limited, and using this time to reinvent or reimagine what music making could look like at a core level. So thank you so much for sharing this with us, Lesley. It's been really encouraging to hear, and inspiring as well. And I'm sure that people will take from lessons you've learned and things you've done, and possibly even implement it for their own groups as well. So thank you. We're going to close with another virtual choir recording from Birmingham Citadel Songsters, and this is He Who Lights the Stars, featured in Sing to the Lord book. And so this is one of the smaller groups, I believe, of volunteers that recorded this song virtually. So please enjoy He Who Lights the Stars.